righty, we'll get kicked off in a second. Anthony, thanks for showing up. You can give us another WhatsApp tutorial later on. All right. Let's see. We'll get kicked off in a second. How's everybody doing? We only got one of you on camera. I guess I'm just talking with you then, brother. There's Ursula. How are you?
How's it going?
Hello, hello. Rob, hi.
Hi.
Rob, got your email. Looking forward to talking to you when we get to that one-on-one. When you got a chance, make sure you get in touch with your accountability rep and see if we get you to that business strategy call soon. Larry, probably the same thing. Larry, have you had any success chatting with either Paul or Robert?
Yes, I've spoken to Robert.
Okay, perfect. Message him, have that talk. I'm going to put you down because I want to chat with him about it. All right. So I know we'll get going here in a second. We're gonna have people coming in. V, if you can keep an eye on the waiting room and just let them in as they pop on. I know people are gonna come flowing in. So I know some of you guys. Yesterday was that first call, and some of you guys were on the day before. How many of you guys have listened to the last couple of calls and actually done some of the homework? I know I got emails back from some people. So how was it? Feedback, thoughts of the last couple of days. I've got one last one to kind of go over to wrap this one up, but it leads into actually one of my favorite kind of principles and trainings that I've ever been a part of. So I'm excited for what's to come. But what do you guys think about what we've talked about last few days?
This is Carrie, and yesterday was my first time on the call, so I'm playing catch up right now. But what I heard yesterday was excellent. Yeah.
Good. All right.
This is Abby.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say I've been on the last couple of calls and it's been really great, like kind of doing the homework and thinking about certain things that are going to help us with launching our businesses. So yeah, it's been great.
So let me kind of dive into that because obviously this helps a lot with the business. How can this, what we've been talking about with the ideals and the goals and the actuals and everything, how can it help you specifically with your business, or are you applying it maybe in your personal life, or can you apply in your personal life, or maybe you've got a different business or career or whatever? What do you guys think? How can it apply with other stuff you're already doing? Give me some thoughts.
One thing that I really appreciate are there's no wasted moments. I've been finding there's no wasted moments, and everything is, what do they say, a link in the chain of my good. All of this is building into something.
Yeah. Good. And I know for a lot of you guys, so a lot of this is, we've got this great mix. So some of you guys have been studying personal development for an extended period of time already, and that's great. And so hopefully we're just adding in those little nuggets here and there, right? And then some of you guys, this is fairly new, and you've been like career employees or even running your own businesses, but now you're hopefully starting to look at things with a slightly different paradigm. At its core, what we're looking at is finding a way to help you dig down deep, stretch, and grow from there. That's one of those where when you look at those individuals, men, women, whatever category you want to put them in with, business success or artists or athletes or just whatever you want to envision someone that's successful. If you look at what they've done, it's that consistent growth, right? And then the balance of education and execution. So it's always improving all of that stuff. So on that note, any other thoughts on, yes, Karen?
I have a question for you, please, Andrew. When we're looking at niches and trying to think about a niche, if we don't have one or we've got an idea, how good is the funnel for helping if you've got services to offer rather than products?
It can be great. If you haven't yet, get with your accountability rep and ask for the one that we did. I want to say it was last week about selecting a niche. That's a good training. And in a week or so, I'll probably do another one. I kind of update that from time to time, but ask your accountability rep for the call we did last week on selecting a niche. We spent about 45 minutes.
That I'm not too worried about. It's more the question of services or products in terms of the effectiveness. funnel.
Yeah, it can work. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you change the content a little bit, or you change your verbiage a little bit, your copy, and it can be effective. Absolutely. One of the things I love about this, and guys, so as we go through, and I know some of you guys are getting ready for the business plan call, and we're going to get into it, and then and Paul, if you want to drop questions in, or if you want to send them to me privately, and I can kind of discuss them. I want to wrap up this training, so I want to try and keep as many of the questions close to what we're dealing with here. But we get to that business plan call, we're going to talk about each one of you guys again is in a slightly different position, and each one of you have slightly different goals, and we understand that, right? And that's why the process is in place the way it is. And then we're going to do that. We've got some homework before that group call, and then we're going to have a group call, and then we're going to have a one-on-one. I'm going to talk with you guys one-on-one, and this is something that there's a good chance that group call you're going to have with maybe a couple people on this call, maybe people from your original, or maybe people you've never seen before. And then we'll do the one-on-one. And I've been very blessed and lucky to have had the opportunity to launch businesses and had success in different categories online, e-commerce, selling physical products. I've done affiliate marketing. I've done personal coaching, and I've done business coaching and marketing, and have now a white label marketing and digital agency, and using the stuff. And and if you guys want, you can email me questions if you've got a list of them. And some of them, I'll tell you guys now, some of them I may address, and then I may kick back with a couple of questions, and then it may just help get set up for the actual call, right? Like Rob had some questions he sent me. I sent him a couple of questions back. He responded. I've got a couple things that I'm going to send him back, but then we're prepped for that one-on-one call and we're ready to go, right? Renee, if you haven't, all right. On that note, it was 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. I was talking with Blake about things that we can add, additional trainings, things that we can do. What can we, how can we help? And guy's always working, and I love that about him. I love the accessibility that he's got, and I've been part of, a number of other programs, and so he's pretty great in that regard. On that note, I want to dive into the training we've got. I want to kind of, I'm going to do a quick review on some of this stuff. And then we're going to kind of wrap it, and it sets us up for going forward. Okay. So, let me share my screen. We're going to get into, a few things here. If you've got questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. So we talked about the gap. Again, I'm going to go fast through the beginning part of this because it's stuff that I've gone over the last couple of days. If you haven't got it, email me. I'll send you the recording for the first 2 days. So the gap, this is how our mind works. There's a difference between the ideal and the gap, or in the actual. So the gap is the permanent difference that exists between the ideal and then the actual is what is actually going on in our life, the results that we achieve, either external or internal, right? The ideal is that fairy tale. This is what helps us establish goals. These are the dreams. Guys, the ideal is what gets you up out of bed. The ideal is what makes you get things moving. The ideal is what puts puts extra log on the fire, as it were, right? So any questions about ideal, the actual, and the gap? Any questions there? Yes? No? We're solid? Good. All right. So this is the horizon. This is unfortunately how a lot of people kind of set things up. This is a version of the ideal. So they think that they're setting goals, but they're looking at people are switching goals and ideals, right? So the horizon, that's that mental construct that we go towards, but we never actually get closer to. The ideal is always changing. The horizon is always changing, right? So if you're setting things up and your goals are only about success, better life, easier, no stress, you're going to struggle because you're not being clear. What you need to do is you've got the ideals, you've got those big, big dreams, but then you've got the goals along the way, right? Everybody good there? We're solid? Okay, so now we're going to look into where things start. So understanding and being able to go through this process for yourself, personal development, your business, your relationships, everything. If you were only ever looking forward and not measuring from what's behind you, that's where you start to get frustrated. So the ideal, again, is important. This is kind of that striving versus achieving, and the difference in, okay, I finished the race, now what, versus understanding how much progress you've made, right? That's the little bit of homework. I've given you homework throughout this, questions, always expanding your gains. All right, now, step by step until acceleration. So how do we start to accelerate our growth? How do we start to, keep ourselves moving forward, but do it with, with some power, some fuel? So what you do is you're setting those daily goals, your constant goal creation, right? Your ideal remains what it is, but you're constantly changing those goals. Once you have your goals in place, then you can start to look at consistent and measured tasks. Now, where are we measuring from? When we measure a task and we've set our tasks, and then we look at how well we are striving versus achieving, how do we measure our tasks, from forward or back?
Back.
Back. Why?
This is where you are. You gotta stop.
So we're looking at how far we've progressed, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts and questions?
Good.
Sorry, another way of looking at that is, what's my baseline? Where am I starting from? Because
Yep.
that saying looking back can cause a negative impact in your brain depending on the type of person you are. You're going backwards, or this is where I'm starting from and this is where I'm going forward.
Yeah. So if I'm measuring in the correct way, I'm not necessarily looking back or reminiscing in the past. What I'm doing is I'm looking at where I started and how far I've progressed. And I know it's semantics, but does that make sense, guys? Right? So instead of always measuring and saying, man, I'm so far from the ideal. I wanted the financial freedom. I wanted, total control over my time. I wanted to achieve X amount, whatever that ideal is. I wanted to be in, the best shape of my life. I wanted to be super happy in my relationships. I wanted my family to feel united. Instead of measuring against that, we look and we say, look at what I've overcome. If it's something with addiction, for example, I've had this many days sober. I've been able to stay away, or I've eliminated some of those temptations and individuals from my life that were hampering me. And now, so I'm still moving forward. It's those little things, being able to measure that progress, as opposed to how far I yet have to go, right? And then that's how I can consistently manage my goals and consistently create the bigger and better goals as I'm advancing. Yes? Thoughts? Good? Are we solid? Okay. I feel like today's one of those days we all need a little extra coffee, right? So, consistent measured tasks. So this is the difference, right? When you're setting your goals, guys, don't confuse, and I know it's semantics again, but I promise it's powerful. Don't confuse tasks with with goals, and don't confuse the goals with the ideals. Because if you can measure your tasks, like the daily tasks, right? We were talking the other day about the 75 hard and this principle. So it's every single day I've got tasks that I've got to do and I've got to check off. And I love that app and that program because every single day I'm held accountable. So I know a couple of you have done this. Some of you may have just heard about it, but there's this app on the 75 hard. And what it is from a guy named Andy Frisell at First Form. Again, I didn't come up with it, but every single day I've got a little checklist, right? And on the checklist, it's like my first workout, my second workout, my progress pick, my diet. Are you drinking a gallon of water? No cheat meals, alcohol. And then I've added a couple things myself, but I've got to hit those every day. At the end of the day, did you achieve, did you accomplish each one of your tasks, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't, or like if it's late, one of the things, the first time I saw it, because I'm a late riser, I don't get up early. I know like the Miracle Morning, we kind of talked about that. Like I don't get up at 5 o'clock. I never will. That's not me. I'm going to get up a little bit later, but then I sleep late, right? I was working. So Larry, it's 75 hard. I think it's like $5 flat, you pay, and then it's just every single day. And it's great because so once I get through, then I've got like the calendar and it shows, my progression through. And if at like around midnight, it gives you a reminder, hey, make sure that you mark it off. And if you're marking it off late, it says, did you really do it? Or do you need to start over? Because it's okay if you need to start over, but did you really do it? And I love that. So, but there's a difference, right? Because like if I miss a task and I got to start over, I just missed a task. I didn't fail at my goals and I haven't lost my ideal, right? And a lot of you guys set up your goals and you miss these little daily goals. And then when you think about your big goals, that's where everybody remember on that welcome call, I said, people are 1s and 2s and 3s, is it really possible at all? I know it's possible, but is it possible for me? I know it's possible. I know it's possible for me. I think I finally found a way. And a lot of you guys that answered number 2 is because throughout your life, you've not accomplished goals. And so you're worried about whether or not you're going to truly follow through. And part of that boils down to something Larry always talks about, and we'll talk about at some point, but like, what is your why? And how sometimes you don't need just one why, you need like a whole bag of them, right? You got to pull out more than one because sometimes that initial why that you came up with just isn't really strong enough. Because let's be real, sometimes we come up with stuff and we're like, yeah, it's okay, I'll get over it. But you confuse those goals with the tasks. And you've fallen on your face a few times with the tasks, like, oh, I didn't, make my bed this morning. Oh, I have a goal to make my bed every single day. That's not a goal, right? That doesn't get me excited. It doesn't get me out of bed. It doesn't, push me through the obstacles and the frustrations and the BS that I got to deal with, right? That's a task. Now, if I miss a task, I'm okay. I can get back on task. That's no big deal, right? My life's not over. But if I'm consistently missing smaller goals, then I'm going to be frustrated and scared that I'm going to give up on my bigger ones. I know it's an issue of semantics, guys, but please start referring to different stuff in the right way because it empowers you. Are we all good with that? Can we all start making that simple change and then give yourself a break once in a while? That's part of it too. Understand you're freaking human and it's okay to not be perfect. Okay. All right, good. So now we've got the tasks, consistent tasks, right? Focused attention. And this is one of the biggest differences in those that achieve success and those that don't. Focused attention. Okay. And I struggle with this. And I know some of you do too. And I know you've already experienced it on some of my calls where the ADHD just starts rolling. Focused attention is important. One of the reasons I love this kind of business though is because I can work in 45 to 90 minute stretches. I rarely work over an hour straight on any one given thing without taking a 5 to 10 minute break, either a walk outside, quick little meditation, stretch and a couple of exercises, something, because it helps me focus. Just the way the human brain is kind of built, 45 to 60 minutes really is about the limit of what you can do and still maintain a level of productivity that keeps you going. Okay. That's a whole other training we'll talk about. But focus attention.
Andrew.
Yes.
Andrew, I'm interested in what you say that because everywhere I've read, it says that the human concentration span really is 20 minutes max at a time. And then you need to have a break. And I have to say that a lot of these digital products and digital things that come on the market, I find them just too long. They go on for too long.
Yeah.
I think if you've got ADHD or you've got any issues like that, it must be very, very difficult to hang on right the way through to the end.
Sure, it can be. I think I've seen 20 minutes, I've seen less, and I've seen longer. 45 minutes is kind of an average of I've read a few studies. So again, guys, let me kind of preface as we go through these calls, and the more that you guys hang out, I will reference certain studies. I will talk about certain aspects, and I'm not a therapist, a psychologist. I'm not, because we'll go into certain things. We'll talk about emotional situations, emotional, IQ versus EQ. We're going to talk about principles of success. We'll talk about dealing with depression kind of as an entrepreneur. And we'll talk about things like this and the science behind creating new habits and some of these things. I will share with you. And if you ask for, I will do my best to find the references that I found. I try and read some, I pull from a number of different sources. I will read some scientific studies. I'm obviously not a scientist. And if there's ever a point where you feel like you need, next level help on certain aspects, then I recommend finding it, right? And I'm just kind of saying this to preface all of this stuff that I talk about. You've got to find what's best for you, right? Some people struggle to get past 20 minutes. Absolutely. And if that's you, then go past it. If you're able to do a little bit longer, okay. There is no, and this goes back to, there's no cookie cutter, one size fits all, every single person. This is understanding you, right? It's just like the keto diet or the Atkins, or there's, being a vegan or doing this or doing that. Everybody's body's going to respond a little bit differently. And you've got to understand that. We can teach principles and give you a foundation, and you've got to be able to build. Larry.
I think there are two types of focuses. There's a 20-minute focus if you're listening to someone speaking at you online in a video. After about 20 minutes, it does run a little long. But when you discuss focus on a task of 45 minutes to an hour, and then you need a break, that's not necessarily you sitting in front of a video and listening to someone else for 45 minutes or an hour. Yeah. So I think we need to differentiate. It's possible that the person that spoke may have been confusing 20 minutes watching someone else speak versus staying focused in your own zone for 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like this, guys. We've been on now for 20 minutes, and we're going to go probably another 10 or so. Some of you guys are able to do that 10, or you could go another 15, and part of it, and I can name a few of you guys that participate a little bit more, even just dropping in a comment here and there, taking notes, saying something, raising your hand and offering a comment helps you stay focused that little bit longer, right? Exactly. Carrie's holding up her notes. That's great. Because if you don't, there's probably some of you guys that are already clocked out. And hey, that's life. I get it. I fully get that. I've got a room of people I don't know if any of you guys have had this opportunity, this experience, but I've got to host events and had, rooms of a lot of people. Some people are just super engaged the whole time, and others can't get past 5 minutes. And it is what it is, and that's okay. But part of this is you figuring out who you are and how you react and how you learn and how you study. And that goes to one of these other things when we were talking about last week with the success equation and skill set, mindset, and everything else, and then leverage. And that's one of the things that I have on the sheet, leverage when needed. Do you need leverage? Do you need someone else's skills to come in and do things for you, right? I am not the most organized individual. I don't like certain admin stuff, right? I don't. So I find people and I outsource that. It's not just the creative side and having custom graphics done or having, a little bit of the funnel built out and having some help there. Sometimes it's other stuff, right? And that's okay. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to do it all, because then I get to start to focus on things where I'm more productive, that generates more revenue for me, that I enjoy more. And then I don't mind the work, right? Mm-hmm. That's okay. And some of you guys like these calls, for example, there's a little bit of coaching here. And some of you guys I know want to be a coach. And so it's something like this. Some of you guys get excited for something like this. Some of you guys go, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to put myself out and present for 30 to 45 minutes. I'm just not doing that. And that's okay. You don't have to. There's so many different ways that you can get where you're looking to go, right? As long as you know what that ideal is, you know what that vision is, you're clear about that. Clarity, guys, is so important. You have to be clear on what you want to achieve. You have to be clear on who you are. You have to be clear on the skills you have, and then the skills that you're going to need. And if you need some skills that you don't want to bother to learn, then for crying out loud, find someone that can do it, right? And that's okay too, right? Am I making sense? Are you guys with me?
Yep.
Any of you guys that are, okay, good. Because I know I got a lot of videos off and I want to make sure. Okay, good. Gina, I know, is not asleep. I got a thumbs up. Good. Renee's there. All right. So let me hit a couple more of these slides real quick. I want to wrap up for this. So focus, attention, leverage when needed. And so this is how you start to accelerate your sense of progress, because that ideal is still there. But remember, that ideal is like the horizon. So this is why the constant goal creation and the goals getting bigger and bigger, and you keep moving forward, and then you use leverage, right? So the recognition of how far you progressed is what starts to fuel you, right? When you recognize the advancement, you feel yourself speeding up. That's where the bigger goals come in, bigger and better goals. You get greater confidence in those goals. You start to commit more to them, because if I'm reaching goals, if I'm completing tasks that allow me to reach goals, am I going to have more confidence? Am I going to be a little more committed? Why do people quit? Why do they quit? Because they miss the tasks? Because they overestimate what they can achieve in a short amount of time? Because they're not fully committed, because they lose, they mess up the tasks and then they lose the goals because they're only looking towards the ideal, and they just go, I'm not moving anywhere. They don't recognize the progress. So that's why they quit. I've got a good friend who he generates a good 7 figures online every single year. His first year, full year in the business working online, he made a little under $2,000 after a full year. His second year, he made about $6,000, right? Some people would say, man, that's great. $500 a month, that's fantastic. But he was doing stuff almost every single day working on the business. And at some point, a lot of people during that time would have thrown up their hands and say, there's just no way. Why do I keep doing this? Year 3, he made $1 million. Year 4, he did more, right? Was, part of what he did is he started looking at what he had created, because he started YouTube. He started building up fans on Facebook and Instagram. And he just kept looking at how much he had progressed in what he was doing. And he knew at some point he would hit that tipping point, and he did. And when he did, it flooded big, right? But a lot of people only look towards that ideal and they just go, nowhere closer, I'm not going to do it, right? You've got to be able to recognize how you're advancing. Okay, so, all right. First, a little bit of homework. Hopefully you guys have done some of the homework. Now, we have looked at, at the beginning, I want to say day 1, I had you write out 1-year goals. You want the PowerPoint? Yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably just upload it to a Google Drive and give you guys the link if you guys want the link. Okay. You can study it, but you can't. I had to get permission to be able to give this training for you guys. Okay. Because it's not 100% my material. A lot of it's come from Dan Sullivan. So, okay. So the first day of this, I said, set goals. So technically it's not the 1 year. You're looking goals from now until the end of 2021, right? We talked about first ideals, and then we talked about goals, ideals and goals. This is why a lot of people struggle, is because they kind of do it this way, the way this guy's set up, and it's just a mess. It's just all over the place. What I need you to do is look at those goals and look at specific measurable action that you can take in the first and the next 90 days. Specific measurable action in the next 90 days. What kind of tasks can you do over the next 90 days that will help you get there? Okay, so on the first call, I said, write out ideals and then write out goals to match those ideals that you can achieve between now and the end of 2021. So questions on the homework. Everybody understand that? We're all there, or are there any questions on what to do? Tasks for the next 90 days. Solid there. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I should share my screen instead of I'm moving to the next slide without showing you guys. All right, here we go. All right, now we start to expand the outward vision. So this is, again, the more that you do this, and the more you start to measure based on progress and not just the ideal, the more you do it, the more you'll be able to determine if you are in the gap or the gain. And the measurement is the secret, okay? So are we clear on the difference between living in the gap between the ideal and the actual, or living in the gain? Any questions on that? There's that gap that a lot of people struggle with. That's where the unhappiness comes from, because they're always trying to measure their actual versus the ideal. And there are people that are going through that process that are measuring by striving. How far am I striving? How far have I progressed? And if you're living in the gain and doing it the right way, then happiness is right there. Okay. So homework, looking at those same goals. What progress have you already made? And if you haven't, what knowledge? So this, you can write down knowledge, capabilities, tools, leverage that'll help you boost, that'll get you started. Okay. Knowledge, capability, tools, leverage. What do you have? If you haven't progressed yet towards those goals, what do you have now? I need you to make it. This is your homework. You're making a list of those things that will help you boost towards your goals. Thoughts, questions, comments. Give me some feedback, guys. What do you think? Share with me right now. Does anyone have one of these goals between now and the end of 2021 that they'd like to share? Paul.
My goal is to earn through this program from now till end of the year about $25,000.
Okay. So that's a 90-day, right? That's not even 90 days. That's like
less than 90 days.
5 days. Yeah. So give me through 2021, the end of 2021.
End of 2021, I have put down, I want to earn $500,000.
Okay. So to get there, what knowledge, skills, tools, or leverage do you have, or can you get access to that will help you boost yourself towards that goal?
Yes, I have access to you guys, a bunch of stuff. I'm going to leverage that. So I'm back engineering what my activity will be, and how much I will be needing on monthly basis, weekly basis, and daily basis. So I'm broken those down to.
Okay, so you're breaking down the financial goals, you're breaking down the income goals, and then you're going to look at the tasks to achieve those income goals, right? Exactly. So this is where, so let's break down that number, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use the number 100,000 because that's one that a lot of people kind of throw out there. Yep. If we have that, if we're looking at $100,000 goal, does everybody know how much that is monthly? How much do you need to earn monthly to earn 100,000?
$83,000. About $9,000 a month.
So it's what? It's like 84.
83.33.
Yeah.
Is it
8,096?
Yeah, I rounded mine up to 9,000. It said 9K club.
Okay, so 83.33, right? Yep. So then you break it down per day. This is one of the things I love. This is the power of working online. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. So here's what I need. Okay, so everybody write down on your page what your financial goal is for 2021. Just write it down on wherever you're taking notes. And I'm going to say 100,000, right? You divide that by 365 and you're going to divide it by 24. So you divide it by the days and you divide it by the hours, right? So does everybody know how much they need to earn per hour? So to make 100,000 a year, you need to earn $11.41 an hour, 42 cents an hour. See, sometimes some of you guys set a goal and you go, that would be great. And then you immediately start to talk yourself out of it because you can't possibly imagine doing that. Can you guys imagine earning $11.42 an hour?
Yeah.
Is that based on a
4-hour
Can you repeat?
Okay. Larry,
Andrew, can you please repeat the formula again? You said
so whatever the number
your income.
Is, your income divided by 365 divided by 24. Right?
24. Okay,
so number of days, hours in a day. Larry, what were you going to say?
I was thinking, I was going to say it was based on a 40-hour work week. We don't work 24 hours, so we have to be realistic. So if you're going to earn 100,000,
you're not trading time for money. You're not trading time for money.
Doesn't matter.
Larry, you're working online now, and I'm throwing this at you because, and I know you can handle it because you're a coach too. But you're not making it just on your hours anymore, guys.
Right.
Your business is running 24 hours a day, right?
Okay. Yep.
And if you end up with multiple products and maybe a couple of different funnels, like I've got a couple of different funnels running, I got a couple of different businesses. I don't need each one to earn that. I got one that, if it's earning $2-3 an hour, that's fine. Because I got another one that'll earn 20, and I've got this, it'll earn that on average, right? Because it's 24 hours a day. And how do I know we're running 24 hours a day? Because Ian, what time is it right now where you are, brother?
It's 12:30 a.m.
12:30 a.m. Right? Mm-hmm. And everybody different times all over the world, right? Your business is running all day long.
Awesome
guys, and when we get into the business strategy call, I'll break down some actual numbers so you guys kind of see how this works. Look, close to 100 million different businesses on Facebook alone. Let's not even talk about LinkedIn. You've got however many billions of dollars being spent in advertising dollars. Over 40% of those dollars are being spent in the U.S., but the U.S. only makes up between 10 and 15% of the businesses. And so you look at this huge wide world. Obviously, we've got a worldwide audience. Depending on the type of business that you have and what niche that you're in, you can have clients anywhere. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's why we do the 24 hours a day. So now what do we do? Okay, well, if I need to earn this amount per hour or per day, then I need products that'll generate X. And if I've got maybe a high ticket item that I can sell for 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever, that'll speed things up. And I only need X amount of those. Right. So like if you have $1,000 item, you need to sell, a couple of them a day. Right. And you can get there, not even, what is it? One every 2 or 3 days. Right.
So 1,000, it would be like 9.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Vashti, hold on. Carrie, what were you saying?
I was just saying if it's 1,000, then it would be what, maybe around 9 of them would take
nine a month. Mm-hmm. 9 a month. So one every 3 days. Right. Mm-hmm. So one of those every 3 days, and you hit that number, right? And so I'm just trying to get you guys to start to expand a little bit and think about things a little bit differently when you can break down. So now we're talking about, so what tasks do I need to put in place to allow me to have the business that's in place to generate that kind of revenue? Because that revenue is going to get me to the other goal, and that goal, that financial goal, is going to allow me to live the life that I want to live. Like, let's be real. Some of you guys I know don't like talking about money. Welcome to being an adult, right? We're all freaking adults here, right?
So Andrew, question.
People are like, well, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So for me, that's new. You talk about having more than one business. That's like, and right now my mind is like becoming.
No. I didn't say I do have more than one business, but I didn't say that now. I said I have more than one funnel. I have more than one ad running, right?
Right.
So you don't have to have more than one business. I happen to, but I've been doing this longer.
Right. Fair enough. So when you have more than one, do you usually set up one at a time? I guess you might have the experience that you can do more than one.
This is one of the things where people struggle a lot of times. They hear this, what's the saying? How many different streams of income does the average millionaire have? We've all heard about that, right? So what's
about 7?
What's that number? 7, right?
Yeah.
All you guys right now, do you think you can walk out and run and get 7 different streams tomorrow? No. You'd fall on your face. You'd lose a bunch of money and it would be a stress. Don't. What they don't tell you is that most of those millionaires have 1 or 2 that generate the majority of their income and the other ones supplement it, right? It's the Pareto law. It's the 80-20, right? 80% of your results are going to be derived from 20% of your efforts, right? That's the reality. So a couple of quick things that I want to hit on and then we're going to wrap up. So real quick, and I'm not going to call out the name. Someone sent me Read the Big Leap, finish the first custom funnel, attend training daily. Those are tasks. Those are part of the tasks that you can do in your first 90 days to achieve those goals. So that's great. Joel sent some financial goals. Those look good. We'll get more in depth with them later. Veronica's saying goal I got is 100 per hour. So 2,400 a day. 2,400 a day is a decent amount of revenue if you're looking at it that way, right? Now, if you're saying $100 per work hour, that's a little bit different, right? If you do this the right way, you can get to 2, 3, 4 hours a day that you're working or less if you've got it set up the right way. It just depends on how you want to run your business. And everybody's going to be a little bit different. All right. So everyone's got that homework. Let me hop on. There's a couple of things that I want to share and wrap this with. Okay. So that's the homework, right? Mm-hmm. You're listing out the knowledge, capabilities, along with having listed out what you're doing in 90 days. Now I want you to list out knowledge, capabilities, tools, and leverage that you either have or can get that'll help give you a boost. And if you look at it and you say, if I get this one, then I'll get it. That's fine too. Like if you don't have the skill set for certain customization, I need help here. Just write it down. And that's totally cool because then you understand. So next one, celebrate the small things, right? As you're going through, if you complete your tasks, just like this 75 hard and, I hit it, like if one of the goals that you have is health related and every single day you drink your water and you work out, celebrate that, guys. If you were able to watch a video and start, writing out copy, or you started to do certain things, like celebrate those small things. And so what I need you to do at the end of today, you say, okay, what 3 wins did I have today? And what 3 wins do I want to accomplish tomorrow? 3 and 3, just each and every day. Start to get in that habit. Have yourself a little diary and put that down. For some of you men, if you can't stand having a diary, feel free to start a journal. No? Okay. Sorry. My dad humor is a little off today, I guess. All right. All of this, guys, as you start to really understand the difference between living in the gain versus living in the gap, if you start to look at those ideals and understand how you can set up goals bigger and better all of the time and work towards that, things start to change for you. So as you do that, this is where I've got something coming up. This is kind of that taking action, commit, courage, capability, and confidence. I'm gonna provide a training. I may do it tomorrow. It's training. A lot of times people ask me, they say, how can I be confident as an entrepreneur, starting a business, getting going, starting a second business? How do I have confidence? A lot of you guys want to be confident before you make any decisions. I want to know it works. I want to know this happens. I want to know that happens. We want the confidence before we start. Learning and understanding these principles that we've gone over the last few days starts to power things up. I'm going to show you, I'm going to do it. It's just going to be one call, and I'm going to throw some knowledge at you. Again, this last part of a training from Dan Sullivan. I took it from him. I'm adding a little bit to it. I'm going to show you how you can be confident no matter what in the hell you're doing and understanding the process. Okay. How do you develop confidence no matter what it is in your business, in yourself, in your life, in your relationships, all of it? Because if you can have that, you can roll with all of it. Are we good with that?
Yep.
Good. Anybody have any questions here on what we've gone over? Anything you want to throw at me? So I'll put together, I'll put this together and put it into a Google Drive. And if you guys want access, I can get it to you.
Yes, please.
And yeah, good. Again, you can use it, you can study it, you can look at it. You won't be able to turn around and train anyone else on it. Family members, okay, but I can't have you present into groups. And I know most of you won't, but I have to say it. Part of what I agreed to tell them. And then, yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about how to have confidence. When I learned this principle, and all of the time I go, oh, shit, that's what I'm doing right now. Where am I at in this process? And it plays a big role. The more you guys understand this and you start measuring your goals, you'll go, am I in the gap right now? And you go, okay, that's what I'm doing. And I promise it'll help. So we good? Everybody got their homework, know what they're going to do. We solid. Yep. If you guys still haven't international, again, WhatsApp, reach out to you. And I think we finally got a solution to be able to connect with you guys better that are international. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. A couple of you guys, I might email in the next day or so because I want to get you to your business strategy call so we can get you rocking and rolling and out there and kicking ass.
I sent you an email.